Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the instant match reaction to Everton 3, Southampton 0. What a lovely little ring that's got to it. It's amazing what half an hour at the end of the game can do to a mood. Delighted, absolutely delighted. I think this is certainly one of the best Christmases period I can remember for a return of points in recent times. Everton are normally not very good over the Christmas period, but you know, from Boxing Day, after we bounced back after the Merseyside derby defeat, we took 7 points in a week, and it's fantastic. And yet, you know, the disappointment of the 2-2 draw with Hull the other night firmly extinguished today with that victory. Started off with the team. Delighted to see Tom Semi-Ketweg in there, and you know, Tom Davies, a great feeling to see his name on the team sheet. You know, me and Ped have been banging the drum for a while to give this lad a go, get some legs in our midfield, and he didn't disappoint today. There was a start for Calvert-Lewin as well up front, as Ronald Koeman tinkered a little bit with it. Looked like it started off as a 4-4-2. Ross Barkley was notably playing off the left-hand side. Aaron Lennon, which was a strange one for me, came in on the right-hand side. I say a strange one because Aaron just hasn't taken his chance at any time he's had it this season. And he's been a big disappointment because I thought he would be one of the players who would really take to Ronald Koeman's pressing style. And he just, every time he's got in, it just hasn't really worked for him. And that, again, that was the case today. But he started anyway over on the right. I thought we started the game really well. First of all, let me just say before we start, the minute's applause for the Evertonians, the players and fans and people associated with Everton who'd passed away this year. Fantastically observed. Southampton fans, fantastic clapping. And the Southampton players, Fraser Forster was fantastic, bigged it up, loads of clapping. And I thought that was, you know, brilliant. And, you know, too often in football, rivalries and a little bit of bitterness and everything else comes into it, but I take my hat off to the Southampton fans. They kind of, you know, were brilliant in that minute's applause. So well done to them. Thanks very much to them for honouring that today. Onto the game. I thought Everton started the game really well. You know, I thought Calvert-Lewin went alongside Rom, and them two kind of linked up really well in the first few minutes, and it looked like, you know, this is good. This is going to put these on the back foot. We had a nice little interchange early on, Calvert-Lewin and Lukaku, and it come to Ross edge of the box and he hit a fantastic shot. Fraser Forster made a really good save. And then Calvert-Lewin got onto another Lukaku flick, danced around a couple of players, got into the box, and I think is caught on the ankle. I'm not sure, obviously, I've just come home from the game, I don't know. I haven't heard any updates on what the injury was, but he seemed to get caught from one of the Southampton defenders who slid in trying to get a block in. And you know, we tried to run it off and went down. You're always hoping, you know, it's the lad's it's his debut, it's his big moment, you know, a first start for Everton in the Premier League, and he looked up for it. And, you know, you feel really disappointed. He tried to carry on, he couldn't, you know, and it was it was a sad thing to see him go off. And obviously Southampton lost Cedric as well. I think he went into the advertising hoardings down at the Gladys Street end, so hopefully he's not too badly injured either. But Calvert-Lewin, really disappointing. But I thought at the time, and it's worked out quite well, so it's probably going to sound a bit futile, this, but I thought Ronald Koeman got the substitute wrong with Morales. I would have put Valencia on and just left it as it was, because we kind of had Southampton on the back foot, so I thought a like for like would have worked better. Morales came on, didn't really do. The thing with Kevin Morales, right? He's neat and tidy in possession at times, but it's all in areas that don't hurt the opposition. So he's kind of it's a waste, because everything he does, he drops off into our half and will go past a couple and spray the ball out to Coleman or something, and everyone's clapping. But you're thinking but I want him doing that edge of their penalty area and in their box. And I don't know whether it's him or whether it's how Ronald Koeman told him to play, but he kind of came on, and once he come on that left-hand side, Ross went more central and everything, the disjointedness came back. So Ron was isolated again. And Kev, just the nature of him, he wants to play with the ball. He doesn't want to be over on that left-hand side, making it as a genuine out-and-out winger. He wants to come inside and get involved. If you're going to play him anywhere, leave Ross where he was on the left and put Kev up front. If you're going to put him on, put him up front. Kev, like I know him. Morales, put him up front next to Lukaku. Have them close together like he did at Leicester in the second half and cause them be the number 10. A thing that I hate, but play in that hole and open it up for Lukaku, but he didn't. He went and played on that left and it just didn't work. And so we had the next half an hour of it being quite sporadic from both teams. Looked really poor in the first half, I thought. You know, the game went on. Southampton came into it a little bit. Joel had to make a really good save off a deflection from, I think it was Jay Rodriguez had the shot deflected off Williams. He had to make a good save. They had another one. I don't know whether it was Rodriguez or Font, who seemed to have done the hard work and only had to hit the target and blazed it over the bar. But we'd had bits and pieces. We'd had another Barkley shot which forced a block. We'd had a Baines cross which he had to stretch to save. But nothing really where they were hanging on a little bit. Tom Davies has had a sight. But I thought, just a word for Tom Davies, because I thought he was brilliant in that midfield. Yeah, he gave the ball away a couple of times. He's going to do it. But I think the thing with Tom Davies is the expectation won't be the same on him because he's not as skillful as Ross Barkley in terms of driving with the ball. He does take the ball forward, but he's more of a midfield player. He likes to tackle. He's a little bit nasty. He likes to get in. And he will carry the ball forward, and he does like to pass forward rather than backwards, which is quite strange to see an Everton midfielder do that, because mostly the players we've had in there like to pass the ball backwards. So we made a big difference. Him and Garner in there. Garner, on the other hand, I thought was poor, was very bad. I'd say it was his worst performance in an Everton shirt today. It looked as though he didn't want to get hurt before the African nations. He was really bad on the ball, which he isn't. He's been amazing all season, but I think Holland today, maybe it's just a little dip, I don't know, but I think he looked to me like he didn't really want to mix it today, because obviously, and you know what, it's a big thing. The African Cup of Nations will be a big thing for him, so you can kind of understand it, but you know, it showed today. I thought Ross Barkley was fantastic, and I thought Tom Davies was just brilliant, and those two Scouse Evertonians in our midfield just fills me with so much pride. I just think that's what I want. You know, I want us to splash money, I really do. But I also want that running through my team, that Evertonian Scouseness just in there, just giving it just getting stuck in. Because that's the ethos of our club, and we shouldn't ever want to lose that. But, you know, I thought we got to half time, it was 0-0. Neither team had really looked settled at all. They knocked it around a little bit. They got a bit more joy once the game became disjointed, I thought, in that first half. But we got in at half time. Into the second half, it was a little bit more of the same. You know, Redmond was a threat for them. Lukaku we just didn't really create much for him, but so he was resulting in shooting from 30 yards, as Ross Barkley was. You know, we were trying to get a little bit of football going, but it felt disjointed. And then Ronald Koeman made the change. You know, Adam Lennon came off, Enna Valencia came on, kind of went up front. Ron dropped off a little bit, but they got close together, and all of a sudden Everton looked like a different side. Davis and Barkley were interchanging. Them two look like they've got a good understanding already. You know, they know where each other are. And then all of a sudden Ross is starting to thread balls through to Coleman. Got in. I mean, Seamus, I don't know what is wrong with him. He just winds me up. Leicester, he was magnificent. And Hull Friday, he was garbage. And today, he was hot and cold. And you're just like, Seamus, just get your head down and cross the ball. Don't hesitate. When you hesitate, you cock it up, mate. Just drive on and throw it in like you used to, and you're perfect. When you do that, you're brilliant. But he still doesn't know. A ball over the top of his head, he hasn't got a clue what's behind him. And going forward, just put the crosses in. But anyway, we started opening them up a little bit. And Valencia was everywhere, knocked a couple of them about. And you felt the crowd react to Enna Valencia. Lukaku looked like, right, I've got a partner, here we go now. And we started to mix it a bit with them, and we get the goal. You know, a good little ball. I can't even, was it Ross Barkley who put it, or was it Davies? One of them slides Coleman in. Coleman stands it up. A great header by Ron. Brilliant save by Fraser Forster. Absolutely brilliant save. And Valencia, it bounces around, and he sweeps it home, and it's great. His first goal for Everton, and you know, what a time to score an important goal as well, and it gets us up and running. You know, they were claiming offside that one of their players was standing on the touchline, so keeping everyone on, and he's put it in, and the crowd erupted, and on we went from there. We grew stronger, we looked more confident, we were trying little things. Valencia then wins us a penalty, but on the penalty, Rom, don't act like a blurt. Don't act like a blurt, mate. It's Leighton Baines is our penalty taker. The game is 1-0. It's on a knife edge. Joel's already had to produce a brilliant save to keep us ahead. Just give it to Baines. Let's cut all of that crap out. We know it's a penalty. Leighton Baines takes it. If it's 4-0 and you want a goal, you take it. No problem. It's the last minute. But at 1-0 on a knife edge, Baines is our penalty taker. Because then all's that done. You're moaning. Ross gets it and is pointing to Baines. Ron wants it and is shaking his head and wants to take it. And I think he wanted a goal because I don't know whether it's to do with Junior Mandanda when he'd scored. He died around this time and he wanted to dedicate a goal. I'm not sure. I've seen him do it before in January, but he really wanted to take the penalty. Baines, the game is important. But when Baines gets the ball, the crowd cheers, so that just creates that. And then they're arsing about. Fraser Forster's arsing about off his line. And it just puts unnecessary pressure on us. We've been there before with the Morales thing. Just swerve it. Rom, just swerve it. Baines, he strokes it into great penalty. They go off and celebrate, and Lukaku just walks back to the halfway line, and you're just like, you're not like that, Rom, because normally you're in the midst of it, fist pumping. And then he gets back to the halfway line, everyone's celebrated, and then he realises he's been a blurt, and a massive blurt. And then he screams at Baines and he's giving it to clapping him and pointing to him and shaking the face like, well done. We should have just ran over, mate, and swallowed your pride and gone, get in with 2-0 up. You always come on and say it's not about whether you score, it's about Everton winning. This was the moment. Anyway, that done with 2-0 up. We go on. Ashley Williams makes an incredible goal line clearance to make sure we haven't got a nervy last 5 or 6 minutes or so. But Ross Barkley, a toss-up for me today now between man of the match, me two Scousers. Enna Valencia is a shout because he did change our attacking impetus, but it's a toss-up to whether it's Ross or whether it's Tom Davies. So look out for the ratings to see who gets it. But Ross was that last half an hour when he drove us on and getting the ball and knocking it and getting it back and threading balls through. Just fantastic. That's what I want to see. And a little bit more steel. Won a couple of tackles, was in, getting headers in, but more work rate. Ross Barkley does that. No issue. No issue with him. No one should ever have an issue with him because we haven't got another midfield player like him. And people who are advocating selling him and all that, I just don't know where you're coming from. I don't know whether you'd be happy with Lennon and Cleverley if that's your level. I don't know. But this kid, we haven't got anyone like him and we should cherish him. But him and Tom Davies, brilliant. Ross goes off. Gareth Barry comes on. The Arlas in the middle. Wins a few tackles, but then Tom Davies' moment comes, gets the ball, threads it through, eye of a needle to Rom. Rom, out of your body, boom, top corner with your right foot. Fantastic. No need for all that. You know where I am. Go and let loose, scream, punch the floor, do whatever, but don't be giving it all. That's a new year. Be happy. Be happy, Romelu Lukaku. Just scored your 11th of the season. Be happy. We've won the game, but it was a great finish. And that's what Rom is. If you give him chances, he will take his goals. And putting Enna Valencia next to him, me and Ped have been saying it on the main shows that it's Enna Valencia he's not the answer, but his enthusiasm and his work rate, what it does to everybody else, shows you that it is kind of a template. And you do that next to Romelu Lukaku, he becomes happier and the team look better. And when Ross Barkley's got the ball, he's looking up and Valencia's running, the passes on. When Tom Davies is looking, there's a pass on. It's not just there's one option. And for a long time in the game, there was one option. You had two, and then it went to one, and then it went back to two. When it went back to two, Southampton couldn't live with us. That, and of course, we shouldn't forget it was their third game in 6 days, and they were looking tired, and that's why the substitution probably worked. Ronald Koeman could sit here and could argue with me saying Valencia should have gone on in the first half. He could say, well, put him on the last half an hour when they were tired and look what happened, and he'd be right, and that's why he's paid £6 million a year and I'm not. But we've won the game. It's a great win. The first half wasn't very good. The second half got better. The last half an hour was more like it, more pressing. The crowd got involved. The players responded, and we score with, I think it was 17 minutes to go and we win 3-0. So Great way to finish Christmas. 7 out of 9. Yeah, Calvert-Lewin's header goes in to the top corner. We'd all be dancing. We'd have 9 out of 9. But 7 out of 9 is not a bad return. I think we got 10 out of 15 following Watford, which was a horrible performance against Watford. From them, we got 10 points from 15. 30 points to finish, to start the new year on 30 points now. Got 18 games to go. Let's see how many points we can get. And we go from here. We've got an FA Cup game at the weekend against Leicester. That'll be tough, but keep the kids and get Holgate in as well. Hopefully Calvert-Lewin's not not going to be missing for too long. Get Tom Davies, leave Tom Davies in there. Let's get a couple of players in through the door now. Let's get Luckman and Schneiderlin maybe tied up this week. We definitely need 2 attackers in this window, most definitely, because that's the area in that final third that we need that little bit of sugarcoating, because we haven't got it. But we're going into it's open season now, and off we go. But this was an important win today. It was a big win. It gives us a nice little cushion now. West Brom won as well. West Brom, Pulis and his baby wipes. They won, so they're close by. But there's a nice little gap opening up now, and we have to build on that. FA Cup game at the weekend. Let's see if we can keep it going. There you go. Look out for me and Pet on the final word tomorrow. I'll do some ratings. Always good for debate. And I'll catch you next time on Toffee TV. Happy New Year, Evertonians. Started off fantastically well. All the best for 2017. And just before I go, Southampton players, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Absolutely ashamed of yourself. The fans have travelled up on a bank holiday Monday. You've lost 3 games in 6 days. They've still travelled up here on a bank holiday Monday. Hours drives. And only 3 or 4 of the players went over and clapped them. The rest just done a little clap and got off the pitch as quickly as possible. Hang your heads in shame. You overpaid beauts. Should have been straight over there, fronted it up and clapped those fans who've made the journey. Absolutely disgusting. Footballers, just get into the real world. It costs a lot of money to go and follow your club up and down the country. You should be going over and saying thank you to those fans. So, absolute woeful behaviour from Saints there, letting your fans down. Anyway, like I said before, Happy New Year. Catch you next time on Toffee TV.